Okay, well, welcome to today's webinar. The intent of today's webinar is just to share some of the behind-the-scenes efforts that's been happening this summer, some of the minor changes you may not have noticed in ECCO, and to talk about some of those major changes that we hope are operating effectively, that we've been able to implement, and kind of talk about reporting just very in a small way, to be honest. That's another topic for another day. And to open up the conversation to each of you in terms of items that's still not working, places you're confused about, and issues we need to address. Today's webinar is being recorded. We will upload that to the help desk as soon as we can. I can usually do that within 6 to 12 hours. You have to download, edit, then upload again, and allow the video to process. We don't necessarily have any PowerPoint slides today, but I will be sharing with you a framework of how to obtain ECCO information. Everybody is unmuted since we have a small group. There's only 12 people logged in. Amanda and John's in Winston-Salem. Amanda and John, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Hello.
Hello. Amanda and John will also be keeping track of any questions and Q&A and those type of things in the chat box. So if we do need to slow down, please just chime in via your telephone or audio connection, or send us a message, and we will stop and attempt to clarify, seek answers, or indicate what we can answer on the question list for the ECCO team. So let's get started. Hopefully you can hear me okay. If not, let me know and see me. Again, my internet connection could be spotty today. I'm in Virginia, so if it is, I may have to turn my stuff off in the meantime, but we will proceed as long as we can. On your screen currently is the new Training and Technical Assistance website. It can be accessed, as you always have, ncpreventiontta.org, or can be accessed via nctraining.info, as you can see on the top of the screen. We wanted to try to make that internet address a little bit shorter and easier to use, because that's a lot of work, letters. The old address, you can use either the new or the old. It's totally up to you. We also moved the ECCO button to the circles, which is the main focus point of the page. And please note something pretty unique. When you click on ECCO, it's now a two-step process. We're not sure we're going to keep this two-step process. I don't like adding steps and clicks to folks' user experience, but at this point we have to. We have a new login page. That login page or button takes you directly to ECCO like normal. And we have an announcements page just for ECCO. And we're going to start using the announcements page quite frequently for updates and system issues and change logs and that type of thing. And this is just for ECCO users. And I wanted us to use the announcements page today for to kind of guide our conversation. Also, if you note, when you click on ECCO, all of the other circles dim on purpose to draw your eye to your selection. For example, if you were to choose training calendar or request TA or so forth. Some folks have clicked on ECCO and expect it to take them directly to the website, and with their response or the response to us that the link is broken. It's not really. Just click on login. But before we get to the ECCO login, let's click on the announcements and take a look at a couple of places. There's actually 3 items I want to point out to you. The first being is we're offering individual training for individuals and for staff related to ECCO, basically a day-long training event, and that we're willing to come to you. All you have to do is let you know, or let us know. If you could let us know that you need assistance, and we want you to, or you want us to come to you, or your staff needs assistance, we'll put together a training based on your individual needs, and concentrate on the areas of ECCO that you think you may need some clarification on. I think we're getting past the point and click user experience that we had maybe 18 months ago, 12 months ago, and moving into real usability questions that's related to the strategy guidance, listing activities and interventions within the right categories, how to track certain activities within ECCO, how to be consistent, how to structure the briefcase in appropriate ways. So we're getting into more conversational type topics that has a lot of give and take. And so many times I believe, especially when you're talking about technical issues, it's easier to do so face to face, or at least via video conference if we can't do it any other way. But we held one of these sessions down east last week with a group of 4 to 5 staff. We spent 3 to 4 hours at that program, and the response was those 3 or 4 hours was a much greater investment than all the other conversations related to ECCO combined. So that's what we want to hear. So again, if you do want to ask us to come out and have a conversation, as little or as much in terms of a level of depth, please let us know. And that's why we're really here. You can always get a help desk ticket or email us or call us, and we'll be happy to help out in any format. We're constantly updating the ECCO manual. I apologize for the blurry graphic. I'll give you an example of how frequently this is being updated now. We've updated the manual 3 times since Friday. Many times it's really minor information. Other times it's not so minor. And our most recent update was Sunday nights, where we spent updating the manual. When we make updates to the manual, we update the paper version, the PDF that can be printed, and we update the online version as well that's hosted within the help desk and is searchable. Beginning with this point forward, we will start listing within this ECCO news page a short blurb about what we updated within the ECCO manual and what pages we updated the ECCO manual and what you need to know. I know it's kind of hard to keep track of all the changes. There's also a couple of other ways to keep track of changes within the manual. Let's look at the printable link and download the actual manual. So when I click on the link, it takes us to the help desk. You can download the manual. Yeah. We have a versioning sequence. If you've never noticed on page 2, the current version is 2.5 with updates for September 2019. And we've been making the majority of our updates and changes to the sidebar section the past couple of weeks, and that was true this weekend. Also, when in doubt, on page 3, we also place another reminder, updated September 2019, version 2.5. So, in a way to help you keep up with updates, without having to go necessarily and pull up the most recent manual. We will start posting news clips on the blog here, on the news blog, whenever we do so. Of course, the 100% searchable version is that link is redirecting appropriately. If you go to the help desk under ECCO, the ECCO online manual, we labeled this last night to be more clear. So the ECCO online manual always matches the printed version. So when we update the online manual, we update the printed version, and when we update the printed version, we update the online version. It always matches. I want to stop there and see if we have any questions or feedback about the manual itself, because this is still a work in process, and we're attempting to find a way to make this much more interactive and easier to use. But we've been really worried about the past 12 months, aligning content and making it match, and making sure that the manual says what we want it to say in a clear way. Beginning this fall, we're looking to totally reformat it, make it be more user-friendly, both the online version and the printed version. So I'll kind of stop there and feel free to chime in if we have anything we need to look at related to the ECCO manual. Okay. Well, let's talk about some of the changes that's been happening. This is not an all-inclusive change list or change log. We've been tracking over 65 items since May. Some items are minor in terms of misspellings. Other items have been extremely large on the back end that we hope the user never noticed. Other items have been really large changes to the user interface, such as sidebar or the intervention profile screens. So I just wanted to run down this list quickly and see if you've noticed some of these items, or if we need to, again, this is not an all-inclusive list, but it is a general list that provides a pretty good overview of what we've been up to. If you've logged in, the ECCO clock now works. Those of you who have noticed that the clock never changed its timing or changed infrequently, and it was as if time stood still. So thankfully that issue now automatically updates. I know we've had some humorous conversations about the ECCO clock in the past. When you would create new intervention profiles, inside the intervention profile box, there was a text box that asked you for community name. That's been hidden from the user. We saw in the data that we were duplicating that box too often. When an intervention is added, it populates to the top and not the bottom of the screen. So if you remember, when you created a new intervention box, the new box to complete would go down to the very bottom of the screen. The intent now is for it to be at the very top of the screen on the left-hand side, so you don't have to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. This is true for duplicate as well. We've tested this out many, many times, and it appears to be working correctly. If for some reason your new intervention boxes populate to the bottom of the screen automatically, let us know. But we believe that's well tested and verified. The intervention profiles by default are in alphabetical order, but you can search. There's 3 search filters at the top of the screen now. To me, one of the most useful ones is by contract year that we added. We also added by, I think, intervention name and by strategy type, I believe. We can take a look at it in a few minutes. But hopefully that will help us decrease those really long boxes and rows of boxes of intervention profiles that we've been collecting the past 2.5 years. We can filter those out. If you haven't tried that, please do, especially the contract year filter. I think it will truly help. We've taken away zip code from that intervention profile box. Originally, we asked you a zip code. We asked you those questions on other screens. It was a duplicate question. Behavioral health issue is also hidden. You may have noticed that. They asked you to click on certain behavioral health issues that the intervention addressed. We have removed that. So the goal was to make that intervention profile box a tad bit easier to use, to find, to process, and remove instances of duplication. Let's stop there and see if anyone wants to jump in. Well, let's move on then. And again, please, we may have a question. So we have a good question. If the green light is off, does that mean the box isn't working? So if you notice there are little green lights spread throughout your interventions and throughout the system, the green light indicates that particular box belongs to the current financial year. So you should only see green lights associated with 2019-20 intervention profiles and activities. If you notice, that green light changed from 18-19 in July, August when we reset the system. So the green light, you can still enter data in past years profiles currently. That may be turned off, I would expect, in coming months. But you can still enter data, but you can't create any new intervention profiles for 2018-19. I will give you an example, though. We had an agency that had some reporting inconsistencies, so we needed to create a new profile for 2018-19. We basically needed to go back in time and start over. Well, on our end, we couldn't even do that with master level access. The system wouldn't let us. So over Labor Day, on Thursday night on Sunday night of Labor Day weekend, we turned that feature off system-wide so you could go back and create new interventions for the past year. I created that profile on Labor Day morning about 6 a.m. Then we locked the system back down, so folks couldn't go back in time anymore and create new interventions. So it's a yes/no. You can't go back in time and create new interventions, but you can still update your data. If you have issues from 2018 that we still need to clean up and work on, let me know, and we'll be more than happy to help you do that. No problem. Good question. Thank you so much. A great question. Part A, funding source is mandatory now before saving, so you have to choose a funding source. Right now, the only funding source being used is block grant. So make sure to choose the substance use block grant. This is really, really important, folks, because ECCO basically puts data into 2 buckets. Your 2 buckets is your year and your funding source. And if any of those don't match what you intend it to be, it can be really problematic and hard to find your data. And it will appear as if your data is not there. So, for example, you might accidentally choose cures and then enter 3 weeks of data, run a report, and none of your data comes up. That's because we may not be filtering out the correct data, and the system thinks you're entering cures data when you're really looking for block grant data. This is really important. Part B, approved state priority sections. That was hidden. There is a typo there. My apologies. I will fix that. Under Part E, action steps, they're uploaded for environmental SINR in education. I have to put some disclaimers about a couple of things related to this one. Environmental, that's true. Action steps are uploaded. For education programs, that's also true. There's some discussion on the state level in terms of the requirement of action plans for education programs. That's still a discussion. There's been no determination. You may have remember hearing that in the LME meetings. In SINR, SINR profiles were duplicating correctly and creating action steps. Now we've ran into some bugs with some programs, but not others. I was actually sitting with a program last week in person, again, where the staff person attempted to duplicate an action plan. And we went in, and I actually visually saw this. But the SINR intervention was duplicated correctly, and the action plans did not populate. So we went in and deleted that newly duplicated SINR intervention, did it again, and it populated. So we're beginning to see some inconsistencies. If you see inconsistencies, let us know. I know that a couple of you online have seen those inconsistencies that's with us today. We're trying to modify those action plans to better fit the type of SINR activity that you're involved in. For example, we do not want to give you action plans for law enforcement when you are really working on merchant education or so forth. And there's not action plans required for every type of SINR activity. It's real confusing. And we haven't been clear about instructions as clear as we need to be, and my apologies. I would refer you to the ECCO manual, to the SINR section specifically. The manual will share with you and tells you exactly what SINR activities require action plans. But at this point, the word to the wise is the programmers are working on this. They were working on it yesterday, last night, and I see some messages this morning coming through that I need to check out. So once we believe these action plans for SINR are populating correctly, I'm going to make we'll make a new news post and send it out to everybody to make sure that we're on track. And we'll help everybody go back in time as well and make sure everything looks right and correct. Updating any incorrectly duplicated action plans are okay. We have noticed a couple of other unusual instances. The action plan pre-population seems to work as designed when we create a new SINR intervention. But don't do that, right? We've asked everybody not to do that. Don't create a new intervention in SINR, even though the system will let you. We want to duplicate last year's, correct? Because we want to pull over all of your last year's data. So we're trying to track down where the logic issue is within the system. And it's sometimes these issues and bugs that folks experience, and I know you get really, really frustrated with, are really hard to duplicate because sometimes it's a matter of clicking buttons in a certain order with these logic profiles on the back end. So it's, for one instance, for one problem that the system's giving you, we may have to try 20 or 30 different methods of making it do the same thing, duplicating it. So we're going to increasingly ask folks not to only to share screenshots, but to share your screens with us so you can show us your actual click process, so we can see the navigation process you go through in your office. So we can replicate those same processes for the programmers and hopefully increase speed of review, but also decrease your frustration too. Because it's so hard to talk about some of these things. Sometimes via email and text, and conversation can be so helpful frequently. So action steps, we're still working on those, and they seem to be working appropriately for for all the other activities. Action steps, Part E. We've changed some of the labels. For example, within the action step screens, we had an old label of action description or action step description. We changed that to actions taken. We're just trying to be more clear with our directions and help or hints within the ECCO itself. SINR, again, as you can probably tell, that the SINR screens have been the focus of this summer, to be honest. The process reporting screens have been a particular focus. The action steps are a particular focus, and especially the merchant tracking screens. That's the major focus that we've been working on and have made significant progress. And as you work through those merchant screens and processes, the reporting screens for SINR, please let us know what is clear, what has improved, maybe what we've made really muddy and need to improve upon. We do have a long list. One of the reasons we had such a long list this summer to go through was many of the comments that we collected from you, the user, during spring. So never think that when you provide a suggestion or ask a question that we forget about it. I have a log that I carry with me on my phone and all of my devices, but as they come in, I'll copy and paste all of your suggestions and problems. So if we can't take care of it immediately, we try to keep it on the list, knowing that we have a limited amount of funding and time for user interface issues, but they're always on the list, always. They may not be possible, but you're certainly being listened to, and I value your feedback. And so does John and Amanda. Let's see. The merchant tracker, merchant visit form requires questions in all boxes except for notes. We thought we had that correct a couple of weeks ago. Someone on the webinar showed us that no, even when we want to make edits or so forth, we have to type something in the notes box, even when there's no notes. That's been corrected. If you see an issue where you can't save your merchant visit data without inserting notes, let me know. We think we have that particular issue corrected. We had lots of issues with that particular screen with data being left out. Let's keep on moving down. Within SINR, save, edit, add buttons are listed on the screen. So if you want to make changes, you have to click edit. Make sure to save your data after you make those edits. And we have replace add buttons for new stores in multiple locations. Let's see. We're asking everybody again, everybody knows this, to duplicate SINR interventions. Please do not create new intervention profiles. Yeah, we can't carry forward your merchant data. We're looking at ways to better provide merchant data in the future with more accurate lists. And some programs have accidentally duplicated their merchant data 4 times by uploading the list 4 different times. And that's really hard to process and filter out. So make sure to it's your merchant list. When you duplicate your stores, make sure to check and make sure that your lists are there under the merchant tracker. If your lists are not visible, let us know. Stop, don't do anything, and let us know. So we can help you figure out the process and the solution. In SINR, a variety of sort options have been added to the merchant tracker. You can sort by many different ways. If you have any issues with sorting or finding your work, please let us know. But we attempted to give you all possible scenarios to sort your data from. With many of those sort screens, you're provided more detailed data and information if you download the CSV. So I always recommend, if you're looking for something and you're sorting your data and you're looking at the on-screen report and you're saying, this is not what I think I need, download the CSV. Those CSV files are on the tabs of the report screens and or on the sort screens. So look at the CSV files. We can help you. Some of those CSV files, Excel files, a CSV file is an Excel spreadsheet file, basically. They're somewhat long and complicated. We want to help folks learn how to interpret those files and filter those files out and use pivot tables and so forth. We do have some minor how to use Excel trainings online under ECCO within the Excel category of training. They're nothing elaborate yet. They're pretty much manualized, that takes you through exercises, and we provided some sample data and so forth. As soon as the final reporting features of ECCO are finished, we're going to dig into providing some materials, videos, resources about how to use those reports, how to use the Excel spreadsheets, and so forth to pull the data you need for your programs. I know that many of us feel really, really comfortable with Excel, or you may be like me, and my last Excel formal course was when I was a sophomore in high school, and I'm really rusty. So we have some folks on contract who actually teach introductory and advanced Excel that will be helping us build content, and who actually helped us build the introductory content. But I'll send out to everybody after the webinar. Let's see. The briefcase, we've added drop-down lists and tags to the briefcase. Those tags are based on your intervention name. So when you create a new intervention profile and click on SINAR or Too Good for Drugs, that type of thing, your tag then matches the information provided when you created the profile. So that's another period of internal consistency. You can also, of course, tag your documents in multiple ways. You could hypothetically tag your documents as environmental and community-based process if your documentation supported both efforts. We do ask you to be thoughtful in terms of how you organize your material, your briefcase documentation. It's going to become extremely important for the audit process. When we start talking more about the audit process and training and so forth, the audit processes and preparation, we'll talk a lot about briefcase materials and uploads and how best to structure your documents in a way that providers and that you as the provider, it can be helpful to you, but also easy to find from the audit perspective. A document tag, you can sort the document names and tags in alphabetical order as well. We corrected numerous spelling errors. For example, grocery was incorrectly spelled on the merchant tracker. We have a few more spelling errors we need to catch. I know that one provider spelled wrong in one place, but isn't in another, that we need to make corrections of. So we're trying to collect spelling issues and grammar issues as we go along. If there's something really unique that and obvious that we've missed, please let us know. We'll add that to the list. ECCO reports are finalized. There's still a few more tweaks happening, and there's one more report being built, which is called a very, very large master report that actually is a synopsis of the entire system at large. More news to come about that. We're also investigating methods and ways to bring more of a graphical interface type style reporting mechanism to you. We're not sure if this is possible at this point or financially feasible, but it's on the table again. So instead of simply giving you a screen that provides charting or a spreadsheet providing some interactive graphical capacity that can be used in other ways to pull your data out of the system. Again, that's very much up in the air right now. It could be a long-term project through winter and spring. That's something that's really important to all of us on this end, to give you ways to use your data in efficient ways that can also be used to market your programs as well in the public, and for other reporting that you may have agency-wide or with other sources and that type of thing. So let's stop there for a second and see what else from this list or other items that you wish was on the list that we haven't gotten to, or maybe it's on the list and you've talked to us about it but nothing's happened. You know, those little thorns that create problems. Everybody's so quiet today. You would think it's a Monday, but it's a Tuesday. I think that's a bad joke. Okay, so you tell me, should we work through some of those changes in ECCO, or can you give me some guidance in terms of things you want to see us work on, or need greater explanation, those type of things? While you're thinking, let's go back to the really good question that was asked about green lights. Here's an example. This is the green light that we were asked about. If you note, that green light is associated with 2019-20 across the system. So everyone sees those green lights across the system. If you were to click on the green light, it continues to the interventions. And if you look at 2017-18, 2018-19, those are just, the green light was on those once upon a time when they were active, but they're no longer active. I could go in today and change and add data to these interventions with no problem. Well, actually 2018-19 with no problem. That would be okay. But I could not create a new intervention. Also, I know this has also created some confusion as well. How many of you have noticed new interventions that have this really long list of numbers? Many of you have. The really long list of numbers is system generated. You did nothing wrong. They really are used for research purposes. We wanted to attach unique identifiers to every single intervention across the system for every single program to allow Wake Forest to be able to statistically analyze the data across the board a little bit easier and to rule out duplications of data. So that's why that number exists. The number is long because I think there's a fear on down the road, years and years down the road, you might run out of numbering sequences. I'm not sure we would, but that numbering sequence, considering the number of digits, should be, I don't remember my mathematical lessons in terms of exponents, but that should be able to let us create interventions until the end of time, probably. So that's what those numbers are for. You also have a new box here that says last update. This is brand new. You can click on that. It'll enlarge the box, of course. But that little last update is the last time someone that has access rights to your agency made an update. so you can kind of go through and see the last time a update was made to a particular intervention. I will stop there for a second and see if open it up to, again, questions and things like that. I was being really honest yesterday when I sent the email out that the more conversation we can have about processes and procedures, the better. Let's see. Yes, so we have a question about what to upload in the briefcase. So your strategy guidance documents indicate what to upload in the briefcase. So does the audit guide and the audit toolkit tells us a little bit about what to upload in the briefcase. Now, we realize that when I say that, that's a lot easier said than done, because that strategy guidance document is really large, has some really good information in it, but it's a lot. The audit documents and the audit tool is large too, has some really good information in it, but it's large. So information about what to upload in the briefcase, if you're really, really curious about that, I would first go to the strategy guidance document and the audit documentation, and I can show you where that is. Then give us a call, and we can talk you through that process step by step. And we're actually in process working on some one-sheet documents that kind of give you a really minimum standard type view of what to upload for based on your strategy material or strategies. So it may take us I think our goal was October, November for those, probably late October to be honest. But yes, so how do you know what to upload in the briefcase? If you go to General Technical Assistant, under Provider Audit Forms and Resources, those three files will let you know what to upload into the briefcase, especially the audit guide and the audit tool. So one of our hopes for all the providers is, and part of the training going forward for the audit, is to make sure that we're really clear in terms of the audit says X needs to be uploaded to the briefcase to support this document or to support this intervention. What does that really mean? And help you pull that out of the documentation. So in the meantime, I would refer you to the Provider Audit Forms and Resources, which are these three forms available on the help desk. And after you take a look at that, give us a call and let us work through that with you, and we'll help you chart that out best we can. Since we're talking about the briefcase, let's go to the briefcase. The briefcase is growing in importance. Think about the briefcase like this. You have action steps. Everybody has action steps for those selected primary major interventions. The briefcase exists to provide supporting documentation and proof that you went through the action steps, and to document your success or challenges based on your community activities for that particular intervention. So what we're trying to do is make a connection between the action steps and the briefcase, where there are processes. You have action steps. How can you prove that you completed the action steps? Material in the briefcase proves that you completed the action steps. I want to encourage folks to start thinking about the briefcase not as something that exists out there by itself, but something that's integrated with, especially the briefcase, the action steps, that is. So this is a test account. We have several in the system, and many of you have seen this. We can select tags now based on your interventions. These were created many months ago. The tags read differently now. They're associated with your intervention names instead of some generic name, community name. So they will be all consistent. Again, you can sort by tag, you can sort by file name, you can sort by order of upload or year, and so forth. We realize this is still it's still in development. The system is still in development, especially the briefcase process and the action steps process. But we're getting closer and closer. If you were to upload items, this is where you upload the items and select your tag. So, for example, I want to associate this file with SINR. It gives me several. This is where we have to be really careful and conscious, because currently, if I were to type in SINR and I had old SINR interventions created, look what pops up, 1718. So we have to make sure that we choose the appropriate SINR year. You should only have one on your list. For in this test account, we have multiples. So you should probably only have one for SINR 2019-20. If you have multiples, let us know. That could go back to how we create intervention profiles, which might be okay, or could be causing you a lot of grief. Usually the standard is within one LME, you only have one intervention profile per intervention. Then within the intervention itself, we create locations under the location sections. Instead of having, SINR in Mecklenburg County, SINR in Arabelle, SINR in Yankton, we might filter it out a little bit different. But circumstantially, it could be different for each of your programs and individual circumstances and how you collect your data. There's no absolute answer. But the word to the wise is just make sure you're picking the correct one. And again, in this case, this is our SINR test account, and you're seeing all kinds of items there that shouldn't be there. This one, for example, Too Good for Drugs, it's listed for 2019-20. It's a brand new intervention. It wasn't offered last year in the test account. If it was offered last year, it would list 2018-2019. Again, I will stop there for a moment. I think I do want to stop there today and kind of leave the last 9 minutes or so, opening it up to the floor and see where the conversation takes us and where we need to go next. Would anyone be interested in a face-to-face training for you and your staff? We'll come to you. Okay. Well, we have another call similar to this scheduled, I believe, month after next. Plus, in October, we have a similar webinar scheduled just for reports, and we will talk about nothing but reports. And that will be of extreme interest for everyone in terms of what does each of these reports do, what data can I expect to pull out of the reports, what are the impacted fields in terms of the reporting characteristics, what do the CSV files look like, how can we use the CSV files, and so forth. That will be the major focus for mid to late October. How to make this data usable in your daily activity. We will also be scheduling what I call ECCO office hours that occur randomly, maybe 2 to 3 times a month for 60-minute blocks where no one has to register. If you will know that on, say, a certain date in October or a certain date in November, John, Amanda, or myself is online, and you can just drop in and help you with any issues you have, or say hello, or throw marshmallows at us, or whatever it may be. And if you can think of faculty office hours, that's when you were in college, you would just drop by and have a conversation. We want to hold those as well with everyone, just in case nothing is scheduled for a future date or you just want to have a conversation. We will be publishing those moving forward as well. In the meantime, I'll be happy to hang around and talk with folks as we finish up and try to find answers or help us track issues or feel free to go. I think we've reached the end of this exciting webinar on ECCO, and feel free to email us, and we'll be able to. Our commitment to you is try to make things as easy as possible. And we realize that that's been somewhat of an oxymoron since we've been developing ECCO as we've had significant use occur at the same time through the various editions and iterations. But I really believe that we're getting over the hump now, and I have a lot of confidence. So thank you so much for joining us. And again, I'll stay online for a few minutes until we finish up. Thanks.
Hi, Jamie.
Yes.
Do you all provide media campaign technical assistance?
We do. All you have to do is let us know, and we'll come out and talk with you.
Okay.
We actually have some material that we can work through with you that might be really helpful. So Barbara, in that case, we'll be happy to help.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you for your questions too.
You are welcome, and you have a blessed day.
Thank you. You too.